The house still breathes, not in the way living things do, but in sighs. The groan of the porch step when the wind leans against it, the whisper of floorboards shifting under their own weight, the way the kitchen window rattles just slightly at 3 p.m., like clockwork, like it remembers when she used to open it to call me in for soup. I didn't come back to feel this. I came back with gloves and trash bags, a checklist, clear attic, sort papers, donate furniture. Practical things, grown-up things, the kind of tasks you give yourself when you're trying not to feel anything at all. But the gate gave me away. Third push, same rusty hinge, same high-pitched cry. I froze. I hadn't heard that sound in 23 years. Not since I left for university and never looked back. Not since I stopped answering her letters. Not since the last time I hugged her quick, stiff, at the train station. Both of us pretending we didn't know it was goodbye. The key still fit. Of course it did. She never changed the locks. Not even after Dad left. Not even after the break-in down the road. Keys are promises, she used to say. You don't break them just because the world gets loud. Inside, the air was thick. Not stale, not empty, just waiting, like the house had been holding its breath. The smell hit me first. Old pine. Dried lavender in the hallway bowl, and beneath it, faint, stubborn, her rose hand cream, the one she kept in her apron pocket, the one she'd rub into her knuckles after washing dishes. I dropped my suitcase right there in the hall. Didn't even take off my coat. Just stood, listening, to the silence, to the hum of the old fridge, to the distant church bell. 2 slow chimes, 2:15. Same as always. I didn't plan to go up. The attic was her kingdom. Boxes stacked like secrets, things wrapped in newspaper with dates scribbled in the corner. Anton's baby shoes, 1967. Wedding napkins, do not throw. Letters from Prague, unread. She called it her memory room. I called it clutter. But then the rain came, not sudden, not angry, just gray, soft. The kind that doesn't pour. It seeps into the roof tiles, into the window frames, into your bones. And the house creaked louder. Every drop on the roof echoed like a footstep upstairs. I looked at the ladder, pulled halfway down, like someone had climbed up and forgotten to pull it back, or like someone left it that way, for me. My boot slipped on the 3rd step, same as when I was 10. I'd been racing up to hide my report card. A D in math. She caught me at the top, didn't yell, didn't scold, just knelt, even though her knees ached, and said, "We'll fix it together, but first, tea." I didn't have a report card this time, just a heart full of things I never said. I climbed. Up here, time doesn't move, it settles, like dust on the rafters, like the faded gingham curtains, still clinging to the rod even though the hooks are rusted through, like the smell old paper, mothballs, and something sweet underneath. Dried apples. She used to slice them thin and hang them from the beams every September. Boxes everywhere. Neat. Labeled. Her handwriting. Small, slanted, precise. Winter scarves, wool, hand knit. Photo albums, 1970, 1985. Recipes, in case you forget how to make strudel. She thought of everything, except this. In the far corner, behind a rolled rug that smells faintly of damp earth, there's a chest, dark wood, iron hinges, no label, no date, no do not open or for emergencies only, just nothing. That's what stopped me. Mom labeled everything, even the broken things, even the painful things. Dad's watch, stopped working 1982. My wedding veil, never worn again. Letters from Lena, unread. But this chest? Anonymous. Hidden, like she was ashamed of what was inside, or protecting it, or protecting me from it. I crouched beside it, ran my fingers over the wood, smooth in some places, worn by touch, rough in others, untouched for decades. The clasp was cold, stiff. I had to use both hands. It opened with a sigh, not a creak, not a snap. A sigh, like it had been holding its breath too. Inside, folded blankets. Gray wool smelled like cedar and old closets. Beneath them, a cap dot, navy blue. Faded, with a small embroidered anchor on the side. Navy? He was Army. That's not his. And then, leather. Small, thin, worn soft at the edges like it had been carried in a pocket for years. The initials on the cover, FK, were barely visible. Scratched, faded. But I knew them. Franz Kessler, my grandfather. The man who taught me how to whittle wood but never told me where he got the scars on his hands. The man who sat at the head of the table every Sunday silent while the rest of us talked around him. The man who flinched, just slightly, when a car backfired. I lifted it out. It weighed less than I expected. Felt warm, like it remembered being held. I didn't open it. Not yet. I sat back against the wall, the diary in my lap. The rain tracing slow paths down the window. Outside, the oak tree swayed. Same one I used to climb. Same one he told me not to. Branches lie, he'd said. They look strong. Until they're not. I ran my thumb over the cover. Whispered his name. Franz. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid of what he might tell me. It fits in my hands like it was made for them. Not too big, not too heavy, just right. Like the wooden spoon she used to stir Sunday soup, the one with the nick in the handle where I dropped it when I was 7. Like the stone I kept in my pocket for a whole summer, smooth from the river, cool to the touch, shaped just enough to feel like it belonged nowhere else but my palm. This diary, it feels like that. The leather is soft. Not from polish. From touch. From being carried. From being held in coat pockets during rain. From being tucked under a pillow at night. From being clutched when the world got too loud. I run my thumb over the initials. FK Franz Kessler, carved deep, then worn shallow by time. Or by fingers. His fingers. Did he trace them too? When he was alone? When the silence in his head got too heavy? It smells like him. Not the him I knew. The quiet, stiff-backed man who cleared his throat before speaking. The one who smelled of shaving soap and starched collars. No. This smells like the man before. The man in the war. Tobacco. Sweet. Dark. The kind they rolled themselves. And damp paper. And something else. Faint. Metallic. Like old coins. Or dried ink. Or blood that's long since faded but left its ghost behind. I don't open it. Not yet. Because once I do, there's no going back. Once I read his words, I'll have to face the man behind them. Not the grandfather. The soldier. The survivor. The secret keeper. Outside, the rain slows. Just a tap now. A whisper. The oak tree's leaves rustle. Soft, like pages turning. I close my eyes, and I'm 10 again. He's sitting right here, on this floor, back against this same wall. I'd climbed up to hide from my sister. He didn't shoo me away, didn't tell me to go downstairs, just patted the space beside him, didn't speak, just sat. Silent, solid, safe. I leaned my head against his shoulder. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just let me be there. After a while, he reached into his coat, pulled out a small knife, started whittling a block of wood. Shavings fell into his lap. I watched, mesmerized. "Why don't you ever talk about the war, Papa?" I asked. Bold, too bold. He didn't stop carving, didn't look at me, just said, "Some stories are better carried than told." Then he handed me the wood. A bird. Half-formed. Wings still rough. "Finish it," he said. "When you're ready." I never did. I put it in a drawer. Forgot it. Until now. My fingers tighten around the diary. I can feel my heartbeat in my palms. This is the story he carried, and now, it's mine to hold. I take a breath. Open the cover. The first page is blank. The second has a date. April 3rd, 1945, near the Elbe, and beneath it, one sentence. If I live through this, I want to remember what hope feels like. My throat closes. He didn't write for history. He wrote for me, and I'm not ready. But my hands, they keep turning the page. The first words aren't his voice, not the voice I knew. That man spoke in grunts, nods, Sunday silences. This voice is young, tired, tender. April 3rd, 1945. Near the Elbe, rations low, boots wet, sky gray, same as yesterday, same as tomorrow probably. Saw a field of blue flowers today, like the ones Lena picked behind the church. I picked one, pressed it in my pocket. Stupid, maybe, but pretty things. They remind you why you're still walking. A flower falls out as I turn the page. Small, blue, petals brittle, stem flattened. I hold it between my fingers. It crumbles slightly at the edge. Smells faint, like old grass and sunshine trapped in paper. Lena. He wrote her name like it was a prayer, not with longing, not with drama. Just quiet reverence. Like saying grace before a meal you're not sure you'll finish. The entries after that? Short, sharp, like he was writing between breaths. April 7th. Child in the rubble. Couldn't be more than 5. Didn't cry, just stared. Gave him my bread. He didn't take it, just stared. I left it anyway. Maybe his mother finds it. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's under the rubble too. God, let her not be under the rubble. I stop reading. Look out the attic window. The same field is still there. Beyond the oak tree. Now it grows wheat. Yellow gold in summer. But in spring, blue flowers. Same ones. Did he know? Did he choose this land, this house, because of them? I keep reading. April 12th. Johann didn't wake up. Fever took him in the night. We buried him under a birch. No priest, no marker. I carved his initials into my boot heel, so someone would remember, even if it's just me, even if I'm next. My throat tightens. He didn't write to glorify war. He wrote to survive it, to mark the names, to hold the faces, to keep the light in his head from going out. I turn another page. His handwriting changes. Gets messier. Ink blots. Words crammed together. April 18th. I don't know if we're winning. I don't know if we're right. I just know I'm tired. And I miss her laugh. Not the polite one, the real one. The one that snorted when she cried. The one that made the dog bark. The one that made me forget where I was. I lean my head against the wall, close my eyes, and I hear it. Faint, echoing. Her laugh. Not Lena's. I never knew her. Mom's. The one she made when I danced in socks on the kitchen floor. The one that snorted, just like he described. The one that made our old terrier Bruno go wild with joy. Did she get that from him? From Lena? Is that lap my inheritance? I open my eyes, turn the page, and there it is. The sketch. A baby, wrapped in cloth. Tiny fists curled, and beneath it, shaky, smudged. If I don't make it back, tell Lena I kept my promise. My hands go cold. What promise? And why? Does the baby look like it's breathing in 1945? The photo slips out like a secret finally ready to be told. Not posed, not stiff, just alive. Him, younger than I've ever seen him. Cap tilted, uniform unbuttoned at the top. Smiling, not the tight, polite curve of lips I knew, but a real smile, eyes crinkled, head slightly tilted toward her. And her, Lena, hair curled loose at the shoulders, dress light, white with tiny blue flowers, arm linked with his, chin lifted, not posing for history, just happy. Like the sun had just broken through clouds and she caught it on her skin. On the back, his handwriting, firmer then, cleaner. Lena F. Spring 42. Before the silence, before the scars, before the empty chair at Christmas. I take it downstairs, not because I need to, Because I can't be alone with it. Mrs. Vogel is on her porch, shelling peas into a chipped bowl. Same bowl she's used since I was a child. She doesn't look up when I approach. Just says, "You found something, didn't you?" I don't answer. Just hand her the photo. She stops shelling, stares. Her fingers, knotted with age, trace the edge of the print. Then Lena's face. She was light, Mrs. Vogel says, voice thin as old lace. Not just pretty, light, like she carried sunshine in her pockets. When did she disappear? I ask. Mrs. Vogel doesn't answer right away, drops a pea into the bowl, then another. Spring of 46, after he came back, after the silence settled in. One day, she was baking, left a pie cooling on the sill, never came back for it. No note? None. No body? None. I swallow. Did he look for her? She looks at me then, really looks, eyes sharp behind her glasses. He never stopped. I take the photo back. Walk home slow. The diary waits on the kitchen table. I open it again. Flip to the sketch of the baby, then back to the photo. Same blue flowers on her dress, same blue flowers in the field, same blue flower pressed in the diary. This isn't coincidence. This is a trail, and I'm the one who finally picked it up. I spend the night at the kitchen table, diary open, lamp low, tea gone cold. I read every entry between April 18th and May 1st. The handwriting gets worse, ink smudged, words crammed. Sometimes just fragments. Leg hurts, can't feel toes. Miller gone, took his dog tag, told him I'd find his girl. Ate tree bark today, tasted like dirt, laughed anyway, madness maybe, or mercy. And then, May 1st, safe for now, barn outside Magdeburg, roof leaks, but dry enough, found paper, writing by candle. If I don't make it back, tell Lena I kept my promise. Underlined, twice, not once. Not scribbled, underlined, deliberate. Heavy. Next to it, the sketch, not detailed, just lines, a bundle, a face hinted at, tiny hands. But the way he drew the blanket, the curve of the head, the tilt of the neck. It's not a memory, it's a hope, a prayer, a promise. I get up, pace, open the window. The night air is cool, smells like rain and turned earth. I come back, sit, stare. Kept his promise. What promise? To come home? To survive? To love her? None of those explain the baby, unless the promise was the baby. I check the date again. May 1st, 1945. I was born May 3rd, 1978. Too far. But what if Lena didn't vanish in 1946? What if she vanished, pregnant? What if the baby in the sketch wasn't his with Lena, but his with someone else? After? No, that doesn't fit. He wrote this before he came home, before Lena vanished, before Mom was born, before I was born. Then how? I turn the page and stop. Breath caught in my chest. The next entry is dated May 2nd, one paragraph, and at the bottom, it says my name. May 2, 1945. The last entry, just one paragraph, but it's not for Lena, it's for me. May 2, 1945. Quiet today, birds singing. Strange after so much noise. Leg hurts, fever coming. Maybe this is it. But if you're reading this, little one, it means I made it home, or someone brought you here. So listen. I fought so you wouldn't have to. I stayed silent so you could speak. I carried the dark so you could live in the light. Don't waste it. Don't hate. Don't forget. And if you find this, know that I loved you before I knew you. That's the magic of being a father. You love the idea of them before they even breathe. I read it once. Then again. Then a third time. Whispering the words out loud, like saying them will make them real. I loved you before I knew you. Me. Not a child he held. Not a name he gave. Not a face he kissed goodnight. Me. The idea of me. the hope of me, the promise of me. He was dying in a barn, fever burning, leg rotting, world collapsing. And he wrote, to me, not to God, not to history, to me. I press the page to my chest, close my eyes, and for the first time, I feel him. Not the ghost at the dinner table, not the statue in the family photos. Him, Franz, the man who carried flowers in his pocket, who carved names into boot heels, who promised a baby to a woman he might never see again, who loved a child he would never meet, and who, somehow, knew that child would find him, would find this, would need this. I don't cry. Not yet. But my hands won't stop shaking, and when I open my eyes, the first light of dawn is touching the page, like he waited. Just for this. Just for me. I didn't sleep. Not after reading his last words. Not after feeling him, really feeling him, for the first time in my life. Not after realizing he wrote to me. Not as a duty, not as a memory, but as a hope. I made tea at dawn. His cup. The chipped blue one. 2 sugars. No milk. Just like he drank it. I didn't plan to. My hands just reached for it. Like they remembered before I did. I sat at the table, the diary open beside me, his words still warm on the page, and I talked to him. Not out loud. Not like a prayer. Just in my head. Like he was sitting across from me, in his chair, hands folded, listening. I found it, Papa, I whispered. The house didn't answer, but the steam from the cup curled, slow, gentle, like a nod. I went to the church after breakfast. Father Reinhardt was sweeping the steps. He didn't ask why I was there, just unlocked the records room without a word. Dusty drawers, faded ledgers, ink smudged by time. I found her, Lena Kessler, married April 12, 1942, declared missing, March 17, 1946. No death certificate, no burial record, no note, no explanation, just gone. I asked Father Reinhardt if there were rumors. He paused, leaned on his broom. Some said she left because she couldn't live with what he'd seen. Some said she was taken, by the state, by shame, by fear. Some said she left to protect him, and what was coming. What was coming, I asked. He looked at me, really looked. Children carry the weight of their parents' silence, he said. Sometimes, they run so the child doesn't have to. I didn't understand. Not then. I went home, sat in his chair again, opened the diary to the sketch of the baby, then to the last entry. I loved you before I knew you. What if Lena didn't vanish because she stopped loving him? What if she vanished because she loved him too much? What if she knew, somehow, that if she stayed, the past would poison the future? What if she left, so I could exist, so he could survive, so the silence wouldn't swallow us all? I poured another cup of tea, placed it on the chair across from me. Steam rose. I didn't speak. Didn't need to. For the first time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt sacred. I didn't tell my wife. Not right away. I carried the diary with me, to the market, to the garage, to bed. I'd open it at random, read a line, let it sit in my chest. It changed how I saw everything, the way he cleared his throat before speaking, not stiffness, restraint, the way he never hugged me, not coldness, protection, the way he sat silently at dinner, not absence, presence, heavy, full, overflowing. Last Sunday, my daughter found me on the porch, diary in my lap, staring at the oak tree. "Why are you so quiet lately?" she asked. I didn't answer, just handed her the diary. "Read the last page," I said. She sat beside me, cross-legged, hair falling over her face as she bent over the words. I watched her eyes move, slow, then faster, then stop. She looked up. "He knew you?" she whispered. I shook my head. Not me. The idea of me, the hope of me. She hugged the diary to her chest, like it was alive, like it was fragile, like it was precious. "He'd be proud of you, Dad," she said. I didn't cry, not then, but later. When she went inside, I did, not loud, not messy, just quiet tears, the kind that come when you finally understand you were loved in a way you didn't know how to ask for. The next day, she asked if she could keep it in her room. I said yes. She started writing in the margins, little notes. "Papa Franz, I got an A in history. Papa Franz, I miss you even though we never met. Papa Franz, I think you'd like my dog." She calls it the legacy book. I like that. Better than diary. Better than artifact. Legacy. That's what he left. Not pain, not silence. Legacy. I planted roses this spring. Red ones. Velvet petals. Strong stems. Mrs. Vogel brought me the cuttings. "Lena's favorite," she said. She grew them by the back step, said they smelled like courage. I didn't ask what she meant. I just planted them. Now, every morning I open the curtains, let the light fall across the windowsill, let it warm the leather cover, let it catch the dust motes dancing above the pages. The diary doesn't live in the attic anymore. It lives here. Between my daughter's school photos and my wedding album, between the seashell we found in Croatia and the ticket stub from my first concert, it belongs here. With the living. Sometimes I read an entry out loud. Just one. Over breakfast. My daughter listens, doesn't interrupt, doesn't joke, just listens. Sometimes she reads one to me. Her voice is softer than mine, younger, sweeter, but his words, they fit, like they were waiting for her too. Last week she slipped a pressed rose between the pages, next to his sketch of the baby. Underneath she wrote, "For Lena, thank you for leaving, so I could stay." I didn't correct her. Some truths are truer than facts. The diary is no longer a secret. It's a bridge between him and me, between me and her, between the past and what comes next. I don't know if Franz ever found Lena. I don't know if she's buried under an unmarked stone or living under a new name by the sea. It doesn't matter. What matters is what he chose to leave behind. Not anger, not regret, hope. Wrapped in leather, hidden in silence, waiting. I didn't clear out the attic. I cleaned it, swept the floors, wiped the shelves, folded the blankets, donated what wasn't needed, but I left the ladder down, permanently, not as an invitation, as a promise. The diary doesn't live in the chest anymore. It lives on the bottom step, where the light touches it first thing in the morning, where my daughter leaves her drawings, where I sit sometimes, just to be close to the quiet. Last week she drew a picture, crayon on construction paper, bright colors, no shadows, a man, hat tilted, smiling, a woman, flowers in her hair, laughing, and a little girl, between them, holding both their hands, underneath, in her careful print, Papa Franz, Mama Lena, and me. I didn't tell her Lena isn't her grandmother. I didn't tell her Franz never held her. I didn't tell her none of this is technically true, because it is. Truer than blood, truer than dates, truer than records in a dusty church drawer. Love doesn't need permission to exist, it just does. He loved me before I breathed. She left so I could live. And now, my daughter loves them both, not as ghosts, not as secrets, but as guardians, as keepers of the light. I touch the drawing, then the diary, then the ladder, and I whisper, not to the house, not to the past, but to the future. We're still here, and we remember. The wind stirs the curtains, the roses bloom, the diary waits, and somewhere, I like to think, they're smiling.